Good evening and welcome to IITW Radio. Hello, Jolie and Kimberly and Vanessa. It is 6/26 of 2019. Tonight we have a kick butt show for you. For you that know that there's pedophiles in the area and you just don't know, and you guys are going to have to bear with me for a second. I was running late getting in here and we had problems getting a young man on the radio and the satellite or whatever. But tonight we have Mr. Wes on here, and as always, my partner in crime, Tammy. Where's you at, Tammy? How you doing, Wes?
Hey, how's it going, guys?
I love that hat, by the way.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Brothers from another mother. We're in the wrong territory for that, though.
Exactly.
I'm still trying to, as you know, we had some problems getting on the air tonight. I've got Chris. Hello. Kitty says hello. Jolie, she says good evening. Can you see those, Tammy? Doug Williams?
No, I can't.
Well, we're going to be talking about sexual offenders and predators here in just a few seconds. I had to run in here and grab my notes because I had to do a preview of the video before. But you are with North Florida Predator Hunters, correct, Wes?
Yes, better known as NFPH if you search it on Facebook.
Okay, so go on Facebook and hit N as in Nancy, F as in Fred, P as in Paul, and H as in Henry. So
that's affirmative.
So you're going out and busting perverts and pedophiles and sexual offenders and, I mean, just sick, some sick bastards.
That's basically what I'm doing, and it's became something where I'm almost doing it on a daily basis. Which is an embarrassment for our community.
Yeah, we've got a video that we're going to put up here in just a second. It's starting to play already. Like I say, you guys just bear with us. This is not all the ones I need. What we're going to do is put this video on, and I'm going to grab my other notes with my statistics and stuff. I've got to run in my truck real quick. So, Tammy, I'm going to leave this with you for a second. And then I will catch back up. And if you guys could just bear with us for a second, we'll have everything running because you're not going to want to miss this. So, okay.
All right. Are we going to run the video first, or are you going to?
No, just go ahead and ask us some questions. I'm going to click my face off.
I can't. I don't have that set up.
Okay. Well, can you just run in? It's the other set of notes in there. And it'll give a list of everybody in Putnam County and Marion County. Thank you. Chris is a good guy. He's the one that runs he's the IT guy that runs everything for us. So, anyways, how long have you been doing this, Wes?
I've only been doing this for a month. I think just a little over a month. So I haven't been doing it for too long, and it's crazy how much this has picked up since then.
Yeah, I mean, so what got you into this? Now, you're going out. Let me explain to you guys and gals what Wes is doing. Wes doesn't belong to any, he doesn't get paid for this. What he's doing is he's going out and he's exposing people that are, like, for example, you had a 14-year-old that you know, correct?
Correct, yes.
And some pervert, well, a guy from, 24 years old here in Putnam County. Yep, that's the ones I needed. Thank you. Now we can get going. I have all kinds of questions. So you go out in this one video. Let's go ahead and play. No, we're not going to play the video. Damn, we're unorganized tonight. And my seat keeps dropping on me. So you catch this guy who's 24 years old, and he's hitting on a 14-year-old, correct?
Yeah, they're not actual 14-year-olds that they're speaking to. They are speaking to decoys. All of our decoys are above the age of 18, using photos of either themselves or photos that they have consent to use of either themselves or their friends that say that they're allowed to use them.
Okay. I think we lost everybody. And I'm not sure where my IT guys at.
Yep,
There you are.
I'm here.
There you
Yep,
are,
I'm here.
Tammy.
Take that.
I'm back. Sorry
Can you
about
still
that.
hear me?
Okay, now I can hear you. Okay, let's start again.
Yeah. We use decoys, and our decoys are all above the age of 18. They use their own photos of when they were younger. Some of them use photos of them now that they could pass to be younger. And using these photos, they're posted to different social media applications, such as Craigslist, different dating apps, different apps for people to meet. And these guys hit them up. And right away, they're told the age of the decoy, that the age the decoy is playing, either anywhere from, 12 all the way up to 15 years old. And luckily, I can say at least 85% of the people that message the decoys, they do the right thing and turn the other way. But the other 15% take it to the next limit, and they don't only take it to the next limit; they take it as far as they can. And at that point, they want to meet with our decoys, and of course, we agree to meet. But instead of meeting with a 14-year-old or 15-year-old female, they meet with myself, and I do a little bit of a interview with them, so to say, when I expose them. And I must give a shout out to Pennsylvania predator hunters. They're another predator hunting group up in Pennsylvania that showed me the ropes. They were my inspiration watching them, what they did. So shout out to Mike and them. But anyways, everything I do is recorded. It's recorded in a public place. It's usually in a parking lot. So I'm within my legal rights completely when it comes to that aspect, as well as exposed to everybody that follows the public Facebook page of NFPH. The recording isn't only to expose them, but it's also for the safety precautions, safety purposes, to show the entire interaction, as well as I usually record them leaving as well. So, but yeah, we met up with I don't even know if I want to call him a gentleman, a man named
I wouldn't call him a gentleman.
Yeah, a Robert Lamb, and then a lot of people have reached out to me and said that they know of him, and he's from Putnam, and in that incident, he actually took a taxi the night prior, stayed somewhere in Jacksonville. Rumor was at a gym, and that next morning, he met up with myself, expecting to meet a 14-year-old female. He was also talking to one of our other decoys as well, whom was 15. And you can find that video there on the Facebook page, NFPH. That's all you need to search on Facebook. The entire interaction is there, and believe me, it's one it takes a little bit to get up and going, but it's definitely not one you want to miss. He reveals some other reasons why he's in town as well that are quite disturbing.
Yeah, now this is a video I believe that we're getting ready to show because you were on Action News out of Jacksonville. This video comes to us compliments of them. Let's go ahead and play this video because you've already given us a prelim up to it. Now, this is a kid from Putnam County, correct? It's 24 years old.
I would have to. It depends on the video. The thing from Action News Jax, that one is actually. They show a couple different clips. The one that they show is actually a 49-year-old man that I went to meet up with. That was expecting to meet up with a 15-year-old. That one wasn't involved on Action News Jax, but however, my entire interview is there. And the reason why I reached out to them was I actually had interaction with a registered sex offender that expected to meet with a 15-year-old female, but instead met with myself. After investigation, after meeting with this gentleman, we found out he was on the registry, and right away I tried to contact law enforcement, Crime Stoppers, the news, everything I could to make sure that everybody was aware this guy's still out doing this since 1998. He's
Holy crap. Well, let's go ahead and play this video. And then we'll get your comments after this. Like I say, it's from Action Jax.
In an Action News Jax exclusive, the founder of North Florida Predator Hunters tells us he live streams his confrontations with the men who think they're meeting up with teens.
You're not here to meet Anna at all? Not here in a red tragic shirt? So if she calls you right now...
I'm John Bachman.
I'm Tanika Hughes. Action News Jack's Beth Rousseau joins us live on the South Side. And Beth, this man is reaching out to police when he gets information.
And he tells us this is where he likes to meet up with those people, in public parking lots that are right near busy roads. He says he knows that it's still dangerous, but it's worth the risk. This is video Wesley Hogue says shows him confronting a man who thinks he's meeting up with a teenager he's talked to online.
I'm trying to figure that out as well, why you're here to meet up with a 15-year-old being 49 years old, man.
Instead of meeting up with a 14 to 16-year-old, they meet up with myself, which I live stream it onto our public Facebook to expose who these people are.
You're texting a 15-year-old. That's the problem here, man.
The videos get thousands of views on this Facebook page he set up for his group, North Florida Predator Hunters. What got you involved in this?
Well, the personal experience having friends, family as well, that have fallen victim to sex crimes.
Hogue tells me his decoys, who are over 18, use their own photos on dating apps and sites like Craigslist. He says this is an exchange with a man who turned out to be a registered sexual predator. Hogue's text reads, "I'm only 15, so I can't go out and drink, but I stay at home with mom and drink." The man responds, "Cool," according to the messages. Hogue claims he didn't act that way when they met up.
He gave us the usual line of, "I was here to tell her that this is a bad idea," even though he could have said that through text messages if that was his true desire.
The NFPH founder tells me he brings his information to the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office.
Blatantly told me that they don't support what I'm doing, and they're not willing to help. They don't support individual investigations, was the exact quote.
So he says he reports to Crime Stoppers instead. I reached out to JSO. A spokesperson sent me this statement that reads in part, "The information received by anyone setting these individuals up would not be able to be used as probable cause for an arrest." Do you consider yourself a vigilante?
To a point, I honestly, what I would consider myself is a concerned citizen that's willing to take action upon myself.
Action News Jack's law and safety expert Dale Carson says that this might be hurting law enforcement more than it's helping them. All of that part of the story, all new on Action News Jax at 6. We're live on the South Side. Beth Russo, CBS 47, Action News Jax.
More military spouses could be.
That was quite interesting. So the law enforcement doesn't want you to get involved. Now, I understand this is dangerous. And you're what, 29 years old?
Correct.
And you don't have any kids. Yeah,
No kids.
you have a very beautiful girlfriend there, or fiance, wife, whatever it is. And you don't feel that you're putting yourself or her in danger at all? Or, I mean, so what's driving you to do this?
I'm definitely putting myself in danger. I'll tell you what, the nerves are on end when I do these meetings. But I'll tell you what drives me, other than the adrenaline, is knowing that I'm making a positive difference in the community, and I'm doing it in a constructive manner where I'm able to not only help the helpless, but the innocent, as well as be a voice for the victims out there that are victims of sex crimes. I can't tell you how many messages we get in our inbox, how many comments we get on our videos saying, "Thank you for doing this. I'm a victim when I was a kid at X years old. You know, I wish somebody was doing this. You know, I wish somebody would have caught my perpetrator at this time." And that really gives me the fuel to do it. Is it risky? Absolutely. I just had a meet with a gentleman that he reached into his back pocket during the interaction, and I was ready, but he was only reaching out to give me his driver's license to try to show me what his name was, which of course had his address on it, and that one's on there as well. That one's good. Look up Jose. But it definitely is. It's a risky business. There's no profit to be made here. I haven't made a single dime. We do accept donations because we are making T-shirts as well as gas money. Let's be real. But it's not like I'm out here making a living off this. I have to give a huge shout out to my decoys, who have to see some unbelievable content every single day, to the point where I tell them sometimes take a day or two, shut this down. Mute the group chat. You know, you need a mental health day, even as myself, because they share the transcripts with myself as well, to make sure this is a good bust. Shout out to them, because they see some crude and sickening content that is sent from these perpetrators.
Yeah, we're going to get into some of that in just a minute here, but I want to read some of these comments that are coming in. I want to ask you guys and gals to write in and let me know, because some people are saying it's not right what he's doing. You know, he's hurting people, which I call bullshit on that, because what you're doing, the sheriff's department only has, whether it's Jacksonville or Putnam County Sheriff's Office, only has so many officers that can expose this. And it's we, the people, that have to expose these. Now, some of you might not agree with this, but I think if we expose every one of them that's out there, maybe somebody will see it on the show. Maybe somebody will see it on Jax or on North Florida Predator Hunters. They'll see it and go, hey, that's my damn neighbor. You know, I got to keep my kids away from this pervert. Because most of the time when kids come up missing, it's either by a relative or somebody that knows them, that lives near them. And that's a lot of cases.
Exactly.
But I want people to write in and tell me if you think he's doing is right, if you think what he's doing is wrong, if you think he should keep doing it. Now, I'm going to give you guys and gals some statistics that Tammy and I worked on last night. What was it, 2 o'clock in the morning, Tammy?
Yeah.
When we were doing our research for tonight.
Yeah.
According to the crime rate, thecitydata.com, and which is a reputable place, there's one sex offender for every 648 people just in Florida alone. Now, in Putnam County alone, there's one sex offender for every 234 people. Let me repeat that. There's one sexual offender for every 234 people. Now, that's only the ones that we know about that are on the registered list. In Palaca, just in Palaca, there's one sexual offender for every 128 people in Palaca. In Pomona Park, there's one for every 93. In Crescent City, there's one for every 69 people in Crescent City. In Hastings, now this is one I was surprised about. There's one sexual offender for every 22 people in Hastings, and in Interlaken, there's one for every 22 in Interlaken. Now, if that doesn't scare the hell out of you parents, then I don't know what does. You know, and I've raised 7 kids and 9 grandkids. And Wes, you don't even have any kids.
Travis, I have one individual that I busted on there. I think I would have to look it up. He is a gentleman I busted a couple of weeks ago. I've had several people tell me that they go to church with this gentleman. I have several people tell me that they know him from he plays a certain instrument in the church. I can't remember what he plays, but he was brought to my attention by someone on my personal Facebook page. Says, man, I know the guy you just exposed. Here's his Facebook. Here's his church. This is what he drives. And luckily, the guy had a picture of his car in his Facebook that had his license plate on it. And every exposure that I have, I catch their license plate. And that's one of the ways I'm able to verify who I have. And so it shows that you don't know. It could be the person you're sitting next to on the city bus. It could be the person you're sitting next to at church. It could be the person that you're in line with to pick up your kid from the preschool. You just never know. And that's the reason why I'm out here doing this. Yeah, there's not much I can do legally, unfortunately. One of the most common questions I get that come across the comments of my videos is, "You're just going to let him go?" Unfortunately, yes. Because they still have rights, and I can't do a citizen's arrest or anything like that because that's beyond the law. So if I can at least expose whom they are to all the viewers and everybody out there, I'm going to at least do that.
And you parents, it's something that gets me, and I'm guilty of it myself. I got to throw my hands up. I'm guilty. Is that we don't watch our kids enough on the computers to see what's going on. So you don't know. I mean. And there's kids that come up missing every day in the United States. What is it, Tammy? Every 10 minutes? That we're talking about, or every 5 minutes?
Every 6 to 10 minutes, I believe, is what it was.
And so you don't know. I mean, it could be somebody, and you could have stopped it. But it scares the hell out of me. And thank God my kids are, grown and raised now. I mean, if somebody would take them now, I'm sure they'd bring them back in the morning because they couldn't afford to feed my sons. And my daughter would just rip their nads off. But, some of the comments that are coming in, Miranda wrote, matching hats, ha, ha, ha. Miranda wrote, "We love you, Wes." It says, Pennsylvania Predator Hunters, after the show and after you go check out North Florida Hunter Predators. Check us out at Pennsylvania Predator Hunters. And that was from Mike. Hello, Brandy. Mike joined in. Doug Williams says expose and dispose. I agree with that. Jessica, hello. Darren says get 'em west. Mike says risk reward is worth it. Amber wrote, she has, I have 2 children and am very glad you are doing this. Darren says he has. Somebody's got hatchets and everything else, like cut them up.
Wow.
Doug wrote in and says our neighbor got a flyer in a mailbox from the Sheriff Gator, which will be Gator Deloach here in Putnam County, warning him of a new sexual offender in the area. Thank you, Gator. Shout out to all the decoys. That's Kimberly. Gary wrote in. I can't see what Gary wrote because his comment was hidden. Mike wrote in exactly. Too bad we can't just shoot them. Raise funds for a vest for West. Now, that's probably something you should invest in. Is
No pun intended.
A bulletproof vest. Kitty wrote in, we think he's doing the right thing. We love you, Wes. Vanessa wrote, Wes, keep doing what you're doing here in Putnam County. Support you. We need more people like you around here. I'm a mother of 4. Thank you for everything you're doing for our children. Sign up for sexual offenders alerts with FDLE. Now, that is something that people should do. I know Gator Deloach and them do a good job here in Putnam County. I don't know about Jacksonville up there, but I know down here every time one moves in, we get an update. There's flyers that go out to the citizens, and my phone bings like crazy. Pervert. Definitely keep up the good work. Wes, don't give up and be safe always. Another one I think should continue to do this. It truly is helping others. Most people would applaud, but how many perverts are among us? And that's a good question. That one comes in from Doug. And you just never know. So
We were talking about that last night. You know the ones that are registered, the ones that have to be kept track of because they've been apprehended and convicted. How many of them are out there that we don't know are out there who have never been caught or convicted, either or?
Well, a predator and
it's
innumerable. Predator and a sexual offender. The difference between the two is one has only been caught one time. The other one has been caught multiple times. The ones that have only been caught one time or busted one time, from what I understand by the law, they don't go on a list yet, which is total crap to me, but they should. Now, Joan wrote in and said, how about Satsuma and San Mateo? I get noticed as Satsuma offenders quite often. Well, I do have those statistics for you. Let's see. And just around the area here, we were doing, last night when Tammy and I were pulling a late night shift here, just in Jacksonville alone, let me see if I can find the numbers on that one. 2,192 sex offenders. And in the state of Florida, there's 73,004 registered sex offenders. Let's see. She wanted to know about San Mateo.
And if I could say something, Travis.
Okay, go ahead.
Another thing with this as well is recently I busted a guy in the Coast Guard, and he had a lot of sympathizers. And honestly, that was expected because he wasn't that old. But we do have an age limit that we have that we don't go after anybody under the age of 22. It's 22 or older because you start flirting with that fine line there of 21 and younger. I want to make something real clear, real quick, that has kind of become a topic of conversation. I'm not out here to ruin anybody's life. I'm not out here to ruin anybody's career, anybody's relationship. It's your choice to continue that conversation with an individual when they tell you their age. If you have to Google it, which this gentleman said he did to make sure that it was going to be legal to be with a 16-year-old, if you even have to Google it, it's not worth it to make sure that it's legal. However, he said that she was 16, but no, she said that she was 15, so it was illegal. So that's one thing I did want to come off clear is we're not out here to ruin anybody's lives. We're not out here baiting. We're not out here coercing, or there's another word that I was used not too long ago by a commenter, because believe me, we do get a number of haters. We're not out here trying to entrapment. We're not doing that. These offenders, these people we expose, are told the age. Hey, letting you know, I'm 13, 14, 15. They have the opportunity to say nope, and I can promise you 100% every one of my decoys at that point, they block them. That's it. Boom, block. Good job on you. You're blocked on that free texting app, on that decoy burner phone. You did the right thing. So that's one thing I did want to put out there, because I've gotten that a couple times. You ruined these people's lives at Coast Guard, because the guy in the Coast Guard, believe me, his chief of command was notified, as well as more people. There is getting something done about that. Yes, I got this a lot. He was only 22. Go after the real sex offenders. That's a problem right now with our society. He doesn't get a pass just because he's 22. When I was 22, I sure the hell wasn't trying to go after a 15-year-old. You're 22 and you think it's okay to go after a 15-year-old. Makes you think when you're 26, you're 28, you're 35, you're going to be, thinking it's okay to go after a 15-year-old. So we're not out here to ruin anybody's lives. We're not here to ruin careers or put you on a list. We're here going after the ones that agree to not only meet up with our underage decoys, and granted, these aren't just people wanting to meet up. Each and every one of these people gets sexual. Each and one of these people get vulgar. They're not just trying to meet up, have a bite to eat, say, hey, what's up? They're sending photos. They are typing explicit content to children, including that dude from the Coast Guard. He even sent a video of him singing karaoke, and you bet we posted it.
Now, to answer, not to cut you short, we're going to jump back into that.
Yeah, you're good.
I've got a lot of questions in for you people listening. If I can't get to your questions, I'm sorry. This is I know it's a hot topic right now, and we've got both good, bad, and indifferent coming in. But to answer the other question, it's 44 in Satsuma and 9 in San Mateo. 44 in Satsuma is quite a bit for this area. Now, that's where I live at. Now, and, not everybody gets a list. We have 1,000 people a day moving to this area, and not everybody can keep up with it. But it's something that should be a main priority. Now, Jody had written in and said, this upsets me. And now, Jody or anybody else is writing in, I appreciate and I respect everybody's right to the First Amendment, to the freedom of speech. Just because you say something, if I don't agree with it or somebody else doesn't agree with it, I'm sure there's 100 other people that agree with it. Just because I drive a Ford and a Jeep doesn't mean I should be pissed off at you or you should be pissed off at me because you're driving a Chevy or a Dodge. So I'm not pissed off about this. So I'm just saying that before I read her comment. But Jody had written in, she said, this upsets me. I understand the what and why, but he is not a police officer. These pedophiles he is exposing are still on the streets, but now they are harder for the they're harder for the professionals to catch. I understand he wants to make a difference in the community. Fine, go do it in the proper way. Become a police officer. To me, what he is doing is vigilante tactics. No good comes from this for most. He scares the people that cyber crimes units are after. Where's the reward in this, and why are they still free? Well, let me answer a couple of those before you answer them. Go back to that, Chris, for me, please. As a police officer, which I was a police officer at one time, your hands are so tied that you can't do anything. And there's not enough police officers with the numbers that I just read. Interlochen is a small area. For 1 in every 22 people to be on this list, those rates are high. In Keystone Heights, 45. These are small communities. In Satsuma, 44. In Palatka, 90. In Interlochen, 79. In Interlochen, there's 1 in every 22 people. 1 in every 22 in Hastings. 1 in every 69 in Crescent City. 1 in 93 in Pomona. 1 in every 234 in Putnam County. and sex offenders 601 for every 648 people in Florida. The cops are not going to be able to do this, and I don't think personally, and I'm going to let you comment on this in a second, Wes, is that I don't think it's vigilante. I think that these people and the Crime Stoppers and these people that are doing the cyber crimes, what this will do is will alert them, because when you only have 1 or 2 officers or 4 or 5 working an 8-hour shift, how are they going to go out and expose everybody? It takes people like our listeners and our readers and people that are writing into Wes and Tammy and myself that are exposing these people so that they can. Now, you could say they can go and hide, but the one thing that I've learned in 40 years of broadcasting and writing is that a person that is a criminal will commit the same crimes again. Now, would you rather, I would rather myself personally, especially with like my grandkids and stuff, is that if I didn't know a person, or he had already been arrested one time, but he wasn't put on a list. Now, if I knew that person was a pervert and he's living right next door to me, I would rather know that. Even if the cops knew about it, I would still rather personally know, before, because what are they going to do? When my ex-wife was dating a guy and he had threatened to sexually molest my son and threatened to kill him, the Volusia County's state attorney's office told me there was nothing they could do to him until after he had harmed my children twice. Mm-hmm. Now, the laws are not set up to protect my children or your children. A law is only this, right here, a friggin' piece of paper. Whatever a criminal wants to do, whether it's guns, people are going to commit crimes. They ain't going to walk around with no frickin' concealed weapons permit. People that are pedophiles don't give a rat's ass. If they're going to rape one kid, they're going to try to rape another one. They're sick. If they're going to try to have sex with a 14 or a 12-year-old, they're going to do it again. In Pomona Park, you were talking about a church, Wes. In Pomona Park, there was 3 kids that I know over there. And the 3 kids were being molested for over a year, and the guy was making sex tapes right here in Pomona Park. He was a deacon in a church. Nobody exposed him until the kid came to me one day and said, if somebody was hurting me, what would you do? He didn't want me to go kill the guy because he actually felt sorry for him. And a lot of these pedophiles that are out there, they threaten these children. I'll kill your parents. I'll kill you. I'll do harm to your little brothers and sister. And they instill fear in them. And it's a power thing. So, of course, they're not going to go tell. But is it a vigilante tactic? I don't know. You answer that, Wes.
Well, what was the commenter's name?
Jody.
All right, Miss Jody, I definitely appreciate the feedback. I appreciate negative and positive feedback. Here's the thing with that, and I have family members and close friends that are in law enforcement, and they've told me the same, that I could be impeding in investigation, that I'm risking my life. I've had a JSO officer tell I shouldn't be out here doing this. However, each and every one of them told me I'm still within my legal. Here's the big thing with that. When they're doing their investigations, that person that they're investigating, they have to collect so much data. They need to collect so much evidence in order to pin them down. Sometimes that's more than 1. Sometimes that's more than 2. Sometimes that's more than 3 interactions with an individual that is a minor. That takes time. When I go live and I expose one of these people face to face, for something to get done, minutes, hours, not even days. Robert Lamb was exposed within minutes to his friends, to his family. People saw it. They sent it to his family members on Facebook. It was crazy. I had another kid on the north side of Jacksonville exposed. Whole bunch of people saw it that went to school with him. Contacted his family, contacted law enforcement about it. Law enforcement said they can't do anything about it, but now it planted that seed to watch out for this kid. Also, everything that we do goes through Crime Stoppers. I'm not just doing this, recording it, I exposed you, off to the next one. All the transcripts get thrown to Crime Stoppers. They get the telephone number, they get what they were driving, they get their whatever information I get on a name, first, last name, whatever it may be. They get all the information that I have. So if there is an investigation going on, yes, what they may have done may not be enough for arrest, but it shows that they still try to meet up with them. And the other fact is okay, you're right. I can't arrest them there, but if I can scare the daylights out of somebody by showing up and not getting the 15-year-old they were expecting, maybe they won't do it again. In my heart, I don't think that gentleman that was in the Coast Guard will ever do that again. I don't know what his repercussions will be, but I don't think he will ever do it again.
Well, the
A couple
problem
of
with
the other ones,
well, the problem with law
possibly.
enforcement, Wes, is that, and you know as well as I do because you're doing this now, and I'm sure you did a lot of research on it before you ever got involved with it. The problem with the sheriff's department, and this is for other people writing in about this, is that the sheriff's department is there not to stop or prevent the crime. They're only there, and their investigations can really only begin. I mean, they can start investigating, but they can't do anything about it until after, and the court systems cannot do anything until after that little girl has been raped, or that little girl has had sex and been violated, or, and in all fairness to guys, women do it as well. I mean, you see it every day in the news or every week in the news where some school teachers had sex with a 12-year-old. Now she's in love with him and impregnated and sitting in prison. So it's not just guys. Have you found any women that are doing this as well, or just?
Not yet. We've had one female. We have one male decoy currently that poses as the age of 12. And we've had one female in her mid-30s show interest. I'm not going to say any more than that because that's still an ongoing interaction. But there's no gender that's off limits, either for the decoys or for the offenders. And you're absolutely right. That's another thing. Robert Lamb can't be prosecuted until he does something to a little girl. But if I just scared enough of him to never do this again, there won't be a victim for him to ever hurt.
Well, I hope he does.
I'm willing to take that chance. If I can prevent one little girl, one little boy from being assaulted, so be it.
Ms. Baxter puts Bradford County puts signs in their front yard. I know a lot of communities are doing that now. Rosemarie said, "Hey Wes and NFPH." You probably know a bunch of these people. Courtney wrote, "Hey man, I want to know too." Doug says, "Stand your ground." Kimberly, while sickening, I see it as making the public aware. That was Jolie. Dean said, "Thank you for what you're doing. You're saving a lot of kids from these sick Fs." Watching from what's it, Louisiana, Kentucky. That was Ralph. Bob Baldwin joined in. Hey, Bob. Lindsay Wheeler wrote, "I would rather a creep see you West because that means they're not actually seeing a child." Hello, Barbie. Ashley wrote in, "Only if we had a West worldwide, it's everything." And, here's one for you, Tammy. Bob wrote in and say, "Hey, Tammy, good to see you." Now,
Hi, Bob.
Personally, I respect what you're doing. And the comment that somebody just made, Valerie wrote in and said there are hunters in several areas. You know,
there is
maybe,
and that's something I just wanted to say real quick. I'm not a solo guy out here. There in many areas. There is Truckers Against Predators that's out of Illinois, TAP. Again, Pennsylvania predator hunters. They really helped me get on my feet. Mike commented earlier. They're a good one to tune in with. They're doing the same thing I'm doing out here. There's organizations all over this country trying to stop these predators.
Ralph wrote in and said, "Keep up the good works." And I'm sorry if I don't get to all your comments. I mean, these things, there's thumbs up and hearts and angry faces and stuff. I mean, it looks like a freaking ticker tape for the New York Parade. Hello, Libby. But, you know, I would rather see you go out and expose these people, like I said before. That way I know the people in the community, and I know, and like you said before, you never know who it is. It could be the preacher, you know, it could be a deacon in a church. It could be your local baker or, yeah, you know, just a guy next door that's pumping air in your kids' tires. You need to know your neighbors. You need to know the people in your community. And that's the problem that we face a lot in the United States is that people anymore, they're in it for themselves. They don't get out. Like when I was a kid, Tammy and I were talking about this the other night. I burned a guy's cornfield down. Not only did he whip my ass, and it was just, I mean, I was 7 years old and I was flicking matches at my brother and it burned his cornfield up. But people that were relying on his cattle corn for the wintertime, I mean, I got my ass whipped by neighbors. I mean, people would see me, they would beat the living hell out of me. My grandfather, my grandmother. I mean, I think everybody in the county took a whack on my ass at some point or another for doing it. And for years, it took me to live that down. Finally, I moved to Florida. But, you know, back in the day, and you wouldn't be in that era, but back in the day when I got my ass whipped, if I screwed up at my friend's house, all the neighbors watched what the kids did. And if a pedophile would have came around then and snatched a kid, hell, there would have been 15, 20 people chasing this asshole down in farm tractors. You know, now people just, oh, well, I don't know. I saw him out there playing and I didn't see anything else. You know, so I take my hat off to you for what you're doing. Hello, Carla and Dave. They're two of my favorites. Ralph said, what to do. Huh? Which one? This one?
Yeah, and if anybody has any questions, feel free to comment as well. Anybody has any questions about what I do or the areas I cover, feel free to ask.
Ralph, you need to contact him. He wants to know, he wants to do it in Kentucky. The best thing I would say is get a hold of Wes. And let's see, Dean says, I have gotten one put in prison. Too bad he got to my 8-year-old daughter first. Oh man, that sucks.
And that's what I'm trying to prevent.
Hear that.
That's exactly what I'm trying to prevent.
Somebody else wrote, do it, talk to, and I think it was in response to the guy in Kentucky. It says, do it, talk to some of the guys doing it and learn how to set something up. Now, I want to mention this. This is not for everybody. This is very dangerous what you're doing. I mean, you got some freak out there that doesn't want to get exposed, and he's going to try to go gorilla on your ass. And I've seen you. You're a big boy. I mean, I wouldn't come up mess with you, especially Alabama hat. People with Alabama hats are freaking crazy anyways.
Not only that, Travis, but you also have to have self-control. You have to have complete control of your anger and your composure. You walk a very fine line. You can't touch these individuals. You can't stalk them. You can't give out any of their personal information that isn't open to the public already. There's a lot of guidelines that you have to follow if you're going to do something like this. I would suggest looking up your local state laws on public recording, as well as what you're doing, what you plan on doing. Make sure it's completely legal. Yes, the law enforcement may not completely agree with it, but if you're within your legal rights, then you legally can do what you want to do. And on that note as well, I do have a buddy that is in St. Johns County Sheriff's Office he works for, and he's 100% for it. He's told me so many times, you have a bust in my jurisdiction, I'm at work, call me. I'll shake them down. I'll see if they have warrants. Because, yeah, there's a lot of times that I'll meet up with somebody and I can't do anything. But that officer can run his information. And these people aren't saints. That usually, your person with no criminal record isn't usually looking up a 15-year-old. A lot of times they have a past.
Yeah, no, and Doug wrote in and said, I'm not trying to cut you short. I'm trying to keep up
you're good.
with the thousands of comments. Doug had written in and says, Wes, do you target specific areas? And can we request you in a neighborhood to test the pervs near us?
Well, there's nothing I can really do to test them. We set up we just put out ads in different zip codes. And these ads are on different applications. So there's not really any way I can really test an area. I can put in certain zip codes for our ads and see if they get any bites. It doesn't mean that they're going to be from there. I mean, there's a lot of times we have, we're listed in Jacksonville, but we're having people in Destin, Florida reach out to us, and Brunswick, Georgia reaching out to us. So it covers an area, but the usual area that we're covering is a driving distance for myself. Because let's face it, again, I'm not doing this for money. I'm a business owner myself. I have a business to run, so I can't be driving 2-3 hours away just to expose somebody as much as I would like to, because I do have a life beyond it. I do have a family, so I do what I can in the area that I'm in. However, I have no problem, um, you know, trying to help somebody that's in another area that wants a little bit more information on what I do if they want to try to keep their community safe as well.
And Jessica wrote in and said, I found out my ex-husband's best friend had a conviction from 1983. That the one bad thing is a lot of these guys that were predators and pedophiles back in the day were never put on any type of registry, and they couldn't be because they were grandfathered into the sick ass clause where we don't mess with them. But she said had been convicted from 1983 and is now back in jail for the same thing, and he let this person stay with us and around our two kids. I'm glad I didn't trust anyone. I never left him alone with my kids. Well, it's a great thing. Mike wrote in and said most cops are for it, but they're bound by the stance of the DA. And that's one thing I was commenting on before. The law enforcement, the reason I wouldn't do it, and well, I couldn't do what you're doing, because if I get out there and see one of these sick bastards, I don't have it within me not to go batshit crazy on them. I mean, if I see some...
That's the composure part of it.
Yeah, if I see some grown man that's going to try to hook up with a 14-year-old, maybe it's because I've raised 4 girls. I would have to... I'd be in prison, I'll tell you that, because I cut their pecker off and sew it to their forehead and make them walk around like a damn turkey. But I just can't do what you're doing. So that's why I thank you so much for what you're doing. Carol Purvis just joined in. Tammy, you've been sitting there. Wait, let me read a couple of these other ones. Valerie wrote, yes, so many different rules in different areas. Next comment was FDLE list their address, all vehicles, including boats or trailers. Rosemary wrote in, it's all about awareness and exposure. Parents need to be more aware, which is absolutely right, of their children's devices, and teams like West getting these creeps exposed. They need to keep doing what they're doing. Great job. Thank you. There's a ton of... Exactly, Wes. Hi, everyone. I'm going to check it out in my county and the rules on it. Sexual offenders are required to register all addresses, including temporary, such as cabins, lake houses, condos, etc. Packer to their forehead. Laugh out loud. They're supposed to register, but there's so many people that don't register, and they see it every day. And I know at one time, and I don't know how it is here in Putnam County anymore, but at one time they only had one lady going out and checking, I think it was 300 and something, 320. I mean, even if she checked 10 a day, how are they going to keep up with all of them in a month's time? I think there needs to be more funding done by the governor's office and by state and by Congress if they ever get off their asses and start doing their job, and put more funding into groups like what you're doing, and put more funding into the sheriff's office so they could hire, 6 or 10. Obviously, they're never going to be able to keep up. Well, I mean, just looking at the statistics, there's 73,004 sexual offenders in the state of Florida.
Mm-hmm.
That means you need at least 50,000 cops. So what was it, Tammy?
Yep.
What was...
I don't know. You've been sitting there patiently. You look like you're ready to
I have a
burst it.
question.
I got questions.
I wanted to ask Wes to address the groomers, these guys that groom these kids. Could you address that so that people would understand what that is?
Yeah, actually, the video that was on the news was one of my interactions with the groomer, the gentleman that was wearing the Family Guy shirt. The irony in that. Groomers are older men, usually over the age of 45, 50 years old, that target young women, young little boys, teenage and younger. What these groomers do is they want to nurture and take care of them and build a bond with them. You're usually not sexual at first. They're trying to be friends with them. They're trying to gain that trust. And then it usually escalates. And an example is we met up with a groomer who was married, and he was 49 years old, and he was meeting up with a 15-year-old at a local restaurant. And then he planned on taking her to St. Augustine and taking her on the ghost tour that night and having her spend the night and have a sleepover. Never once did he say anything sexual. And he also mentioned that in the video. When I was calling him out on it, he said, "I never got sexual with her. So he knew what he was doing. He's used to this. He knew what he could and couldn't say. The reason why I met up with this guy is because he offered her to spend the night, not only to do that ghost tour at night, but to come spend the night at his house in St. Augustine. And all these things that he was saying that a little not a little girl, but a teenage girl would be interested in doing. Free food, going out, doing the ghost tour, walking
Right.
around St. Augustine, having fun. There's no reason a 49-year-old should be taking out a stranger at the age of 15 to do these things. And he also admitted
Exactly.
he has a couple other 15-year-olds and 14-year-olds that he does this with. He said they're family friends, but this isn't his first time. And the good thing is he was recognized from the video, as well as he's been a focus on the news in the past for being a slumlord in Jacksonville. And he has quite a few articles about him being a slumlord, being a bad landlord. So he's known in the area, and now he's even more known thanks to our exposure. So this might not be a guy that's a registered sex offender, but he's somebody that's out there trying to groom your child, trying to meet up with your child. And he also said that he didn't exactly say it, but he targets children or young teens that grow up not in the best homes.
Right. And that's a very common, from what I've read and from what I've heard on your page, very common way that these sexual predators get children, get access to children.
Let me break in here for a second. For you people that are listening on the IITW radio, you need to click over because in 6 more minutes the show's going to actually run over tonight. It says Tammy and I own the thing. We can extend the time on the IITW radio because that's set in a format 24 hours ahead of time. It's going to end in 6 minutes. You'll need to either click over to Facebook, go to the Putman Way or IITW radio. That's the Putman Way or IITW radio, or you can go to IITW radio on YouTube if you want to catch the rest of us. Let me read a couple more of these before I let you take it back over, Tammy and
Okay.
Wes. Jessica wrote in. She's the one that wrote in about her husband's best friend, and she said the thing about this guy, he keeps writing in from jail, and even has written my kids. I don't respond, and have tried to call and get it stopped, but he keeps being allowed to write my house. That right there goes to show you that these predators and pedophiles and stuff, they're not just one-time offenders. They're multiple-time offenders, and even while they're in jail, a lot of them, a couple that I have interviewed, keep expressing that they've, when they're sitting in jail, they're thinking about how they shouldn't have gotten caught and what they can do better next time not to get caught. I mean, it's all I could do to hold the guard back from him to keep from whipping the guy's ass. Francis wrote in and she wanted some statistics about in Putnam County, so I'm going to read these again real quick. Again, if you're listening on IITW radio, you need to kick over in the next 4 minutes to either the Putnam Way on Facebook, IITW radio on Facebook, or go to YouTube, IITW radio. In Putnam County, let me read these real quick before we get back to this. We'll try not to keep people very long. It's not like church. I don't think anybody's falling asleep. In Putnam County, in Interlochen, there's 1 in every 22 residents in Interlochen is a sexual offender. In Hastings, 1 in every 22. In Crescent City, 1 in 69. 1 person for every 69 people. In Pomona Park, 1 for every 93 people. In Palaca, 1 for every 128 people. In Putnam County, 1 for every 234 people. And in the state of Florida, 1 for every 648. Now, she was asking about Putnam County. Let's see. I'm just going to give these to you real quick. Satsuma has 44. Willaca has 5. Pomona Park has 13. Crescent City, 23. Seville, 4. East Palaca, 13. Interlochen, 79. Palaca, 90. Flora Homes, 4. Melrose, 24. Keystone Heights, 45. San Mateo is 9. Pearson is 6. And for the person that wrote in about Jacksonville, it's 2,192 sexual offenders. That's within an hour's driving distance of it.
Now you said there's every fourth person in Florida home.
No, there's in Flora Home. No, there was only 4 in Flora Home, I believe. Yeah, there's only 4.
Oh, 4 altogether.
Yeah.
Okay. I was thinking one of every 4 people. I was gonna say there's only like 5,000 people in Florida home. What's going on over there?
Well, I mean, Interlaken, 1 in every 22 people. Now, this is according to the crime rates that is put out by citydata.com. 1 in every 22 people in Interlaken and 1 in every 2 in Hastings. Those are not big communities. So that means if you know 22 people in Interlaken and you live there, chances are, and I love Interlaken area. It's a beautiful area out there. That chances are, if you know 25 people, one of them out there is going to be a predator. That's on a predator list. Now, this does not get into the people that are not on the freaking list, that have only already screwed a kid over one time, or had sex with them, or, here's candy, you little kid. They're not like they used to. These criminals anymore, they know the laws. And like you said, they know the guy you were talking to that was 50 years old. He knew what he could say and what he couldn't say. I mean, is that something you're running into more and more?
To be honest, no. These guys are ignorant as all heck. To be fully honest with you, I think the older ones, because they're older, they're more experienced in doing this. I think they're more experienced in it, so they are. However, a lot of these guys that we're meeting up with are completely oblivious to what the laws are, and they're just going off their instinct and not thinking correctly. Now, we do have people that are hesitant, asking, "Are you the police? I don't want to be set up. How do I know you're the actual 15-year-old, 14-year-old, 13-year-old girl that I'm speaking to?" They're first hesitant, but then they still go through with it. It's like their conscience begins to speak, but they won't listen to it. Which almost makes you think it's a mental illness at that point. And believe me, I'm not making any excuse for their actions, but that's what makes you think there's something going on mentally that's an imbalance to make them go against their conscience and their better thinking and still going out and doing it. Just recently, I think it was last week.
Hey, Wes.
I waited over an yeah.
Well, I got one here that I just stopped on. It says a guy from Palaca was meeting a girl and a guy up there.
Yeah. Do I have a little bit of time to go a little bit more into that one?
Yeah. Go ahead. You got all the time you want, brother. We own this station,
okay.
So
Well,
it costs us every month.
That would be Robert Lamb. When we met up with him, he brought a friend to the meet, and I actually had to meet up with him in front of or behind the location instead of in front, because there was actually a police officer out in front in the parking lot. So I had to run to the back of the location before he saw the police car there, so he wouldn't get spooked. And the interaction started off with him, me introducing who I am, letting him know what I'm doing, and I know what he's doing. He tried to play it off as, "Oh, she said she's 19," and they always do that. And then I let them know I have the transcripts, I know what you've said, and I start giving them proof by verbiage of knowing what they've said. And his friend was like, "Oh no, I'm out of here." And I didn't get his friend on video because there's no need to. I won't even say the gentleman's name, but he realized what was going on. He got the heck out of there. And Robert Lamb ended up admitting to not only talking to the 14-year-old that he was meeting up with, but the 15-year-old as well that he was speaking to, which was another one of our decoys. Go figure, the same guy's talking to 2 of my decoys. And then he later on, because I asked him, "Are you meeting up with any other children here?" He goes, "No." I'm like, "Are you meeting up with anybody else?" He goes, "Yes, I'm meeting up with a guy." And I'm like, "All right." And I was like, "Well, how old's this guy?" Because I'm thinking child. And he goes, "In his mid-50s. And I'm like, "So you're here to have sexual relations with a 14-year-old female and a man in his mid-50s? Like, what kind of disgusting behavior is that?" And the wheels got to turning. We were wondering if the gentleman in his mid-50s was in it as well, knew about the 14-year-old, and it was going to be a more of a severe situation than what it could have been. So we felt like we took a pretty big swing at that one and hit that one out of the park, because it could have been worse. But granted, this guy was desperate. He was talking to the decoy all day long. got a taxi, arrived in Jacksonville after 11 p.m. I don't even do exposures after the sun goes down for my own safety. Everything's during the day. We had no plans meeting up with him, but he wanted to make sure that he was in Jacksonville for us. Took the taxi, got to the Orange Park area at around 11 p.m. Slept where he told the decoy he slept at an LA Fitness. In person, he said something different. But he slept overnight in Jacksonville to make sure he met up with us at 9 a.m. in the morning. And that's how we started that day on that Saturday.
Tammy.
Wow.
Tammy, didn't you send me
Yes.
a video of that confrontation that Wes had with the guy up there in Jacksonville? So I can't find it in my messenger.
I did. Yes, I did, and it's actually we posted it up on the page as well.
Okay. Well, go ahead and ask Wes a couple more questions while I try to find this video real quick. I know you got a bunch
Well,
of them.
one of the things that I wanted to mention too, and that you see a lot with pedophiles in general, and I don't know if you've encountered this, is with women who are divorced or single with children, and then they get involved with these guys, and then the guys turn out to be pedophiles. And I don't know, I just want to say to the ladies out there, do background checks. Find out who you're with or who you're dating. Don't just assume that every guy you come across is okay, because they're not. Did you want to say anything in that regard, Wes? I don't know.
You know what? I absolutely agree, because the gentleman that I met up with of Craig Oliver. Craig Oliver was a little bit different. Craig Oliver ended up being a sexual offender. Craig Oliver looked like your everyday guy. He showed up wearing a Jacksonville Jaguar gray polo. He looked like somebody that you would have saw standing at in line at Publix. He looked like somebody that you would have a drink with at a Jags game.
Mm-hmm.
When you come to sexual predators, they don't have a certain look. They don't
No.
have a certain profile. It can be anybody. And as far as the background checks, arrest records, at least I know in Jacksonville, are they're on a public forum. You can search them on Google. You can
Right.
do a very quick and simple background check on anybody over the age of 18.
Right. It's not even something that they have to get done through somebody else, or, I mean, you can look up arrest records. You can look at the FDLE sex offender registry. There's just so many things out there that you can look at yourself. You don't have to pay for a background check. You can do it all online yourself. It's really not that hard. But before you bring a strange man into your home, expose them to your children, do it. It's worth it.
I'm right there with you. I think that's what's most shocking about doing this and beginning to do this. When you think of a pedophile or a predator, in your mind you think of an older person. You think of an old man, or that's just the general stereotype. But since doing this, anywhere from the age 22 on up, 25, that with a businessman that was 25 years old. I'm not going to put his business out there, but he wore a suit and tie and was very slick, a handsome gentleman. And I don't know if he had a ring on his finger, but he had a 4-year-old daughter. One of the pictures he sent the decoy was his daughter on his shoulder. And luckily, he's somebody that a lot of people knew. And his face and his name got out there. And actually, I'll expose him. His name is Andrew. I don't know his last name off the top of my head, but Andrew worked in car sales. And a couple of the associates that he used to work with are on my Facebook page, and they saw it, and they said, "Man, I know that guy." And they blasted him. Now, to this day, his baby mom and him try to cover it up, saying it was fake, he was set up and all this. None of it's real. The transcripts weren't real. It was all for a camera, which is completely untrue. We have the transcripts. We will not do a bust on somebody unless they have broken the law.
Now we have
in more ways than one.
We've got the video of the one that you did the other day, Wes. But just Tammy, you just put up a thing on a guy that was busted here in Putnam County a sexual predator who failed to register. And that was what?
Right.
Yesterday?
He was arrested night before last. I put it up yesterday. He was arrested for failure to register an address and held on a $5,000 bond. And I would imagine if he's transient, he might still be there.
Well, hopefully. We have the video, Wes, of this where you where Robert Lamb. Now this guy has a kid too, as well.
Yes, I believe Robert says in the video that he has a son. I believe he says in the video.
And for the ones asking, he was also up there to meet up with another guy to have sex. But we've got it pulled up to where you're sitting in the truck, and anytime you want to interject in a video, go ahead and do it.
I would go ahead and fast forward that, because where I'm sitting in the truck, it starts to it's a long process.
We went through your we fast forward through your lattes and all that.
Can you tell him to check where his microphone is? It's getting muffled by something.
Do what?
Tell him to check where his microphone is. It's getting muffled by something.
Okay, he said check where your microphone is getting muffled by something.
All right.
Okay, we're going to go ahead.
Better?
Yep.
Yeah, that's better. Let's go ahead and start this
Sounds good.
video, and then you can explain to us. This is a guy you just busted, what, less than a week ago?
Unfortunately, the kid's phone is dead, so I'm not able to because he slept in a fucking parking lot.
And I apologize for the language, guys. When I'm doing this, there is some foul language. None of this is scripted. I'm not out there.
I'm sorry, Maryland. It's just how I talk. I can't help it. I get worked up.
I don't blame you. I told you I couldn't do it.
Yeah,
Now this is where you see him walking.
I'm not out there reading bedtime stories.
Now this is where you see him walking down the road toward you, right? And there's also an officer sitting over behind you.
He's carrying a bag of clothing.
Yeah, I noticed right away that he has a friend with him. He has a bag that he's carrying. There's also a police car that's 2 or 3 spots to the left. Thankfully, the officer was in the location that I was at, or that could have spooked him.
He's right up here. That's him walking right there.
Yeah, you see him and another larger gentleman behind him. And believe it or not, I was spooked there at that point. I'm not really big on meeting up with individuals when they have other people with them, but I couldn't blow this one off. This one was too good. Talking 2 of our decoys, took a taxi overnight. So at this point here, I've realized, all right, if I'm going to do this, I need to do it now.
Your adrenaline's got to be pumping when you're doing this.
Yeah, adrenaline's going at this point, to the point where I have to gather my thoughts, and I have to tell myself in my head, don't screw this up. Don't shake. Don't flip out. Keep your composure.
Okay, and this is where you're walking up, approaching him.
Yeah, I'm walking to the back of the location at this point, because I have to meet him before he actually gets to the parking lot and sees the cop car and gets spooked. And this is where I'm about to meet him.
Guys, you know where the Costco is by any chance?
I act like a tourist. I act like I'm lost here, just to spark conversation.
Oh shit! I thought it was over here. That lawn is over there. Gotcha. Okay. You're Robert, right? No. You're not Robert? I believe you're Robert, man. Can I talk to you? And I'm not the cops. I'm here actually saving your ass because there's a cop over there right now. You're here to meet with Megan, right?
Megan?
Yeah. Don't lie. You have the tattoos. Well, we have Megan. Well, you're talking to Megan.
Caught him in the lie right there. Said the wrong name, so he would say the right one.
I have the transcripts, dude. I have the transcripts. Lexi's 15, the other one's 14 that you're trying to meet with. I have the text messages.
They lied to me about their age.
Man, I have the text messages where they tell you their age, all right? You got a taxi down here. You slept at a gym. And, well, said something about LA Fitness. And you came all the way down here. One of the decoys, not this one that you're actually meeting with, but you actually talked about taking her virginity in your truck.
I don't have a truck. What the hell?
Well, I'm just right there in the messages, man, where you're talking about taking her virginity.
His nervous
the things that you're going to do to her.
The spinning of the bag the entire time had me entertained.
The app that you use to contact them.
Luckily, at this point as well, I'm wearing glasses. Or no, I'm not actually wearing glasses on this one, but I'm watching his hands the entire time, watching his body language.
Taking a taxi down here trying to meet up with kids, and I'm meeting you right here and sit over there because there is a cop sitting over there, and I'm not with the cops. Okay. I'm here trying to save these kids from meeting up with people that they shouldn't be meeting up with, and hopefully making you think twice when a girl tells you she's 15. You don't have to lie to me. I literally have the transcripts, man. You don't have to lie to me.
I didn't know.
Yeah, I don't even know who you are. I'm not even trying to record you. Everything is being recorded for my safety and yours. Okay.
This is when the gentleman that was with him realized what was going on, decided to get out of
worries,
Dodge, as he
You
should
knew
have.
that she was 15. What in your right mind would make you think, Robert, that it's okay to meet up with a 15-year-old? Again, you don't have to lie to me. I have it in the messages.
Like I said, on the TikTok, it says she's 21.
And then in the text messages, she says, hey, my real age is 15 and wouldn't let me put it on there. And you said, okay. You were... I'm not hurting you. I'm not here to put my hands on anybody. I'm here to find what the hell is going on. I'm keeping a 5-foot distance here from you, man. I'm trying to figure out why you're trying to meet up with a 15-year-old.
I'm not supposed to be involved or nothing like that.
You're fine. You can leave.
I'm sorry, man. I can't be involved in this.
That's where his friend says, I'm sorry, I can't be involved with this.
And I'm not involved. Being on record, I'm not involved in this.
Yep, I understand. We have nothing from you. I don't know your name. I don't need to know your name. We know this gentleman came here from Palatka. You took a taxi all the way here just to meet a 15-year-old, man. At like 11 p.m.
Nothing wasn't for her.
It wasn't just for her, so you had more people to meet?
Yeah, actually.
More girls to meet?
No, actually one of them was a guy.
You're meeting a guy too. So, and that your sexuality isn't that's not my business. My business is you trying to meet up with a child. That's my problem. And a 15-year-old is a child. You're 24.
Antonio.
I don't
Unfortunately,
think
says the guy's
Antonio's
name
a
here.
big
You
fan of
didn't
what's
say his
going on
last
right
name,
now, and you
thankfully.
shouldn't be either, man. This is a kid that you're meeting up. What? I'm serious. What made you think you're 20? You're 24 years old. You're from Palatka. There's many women in Palatka. Yeah, I'm right over here. What would make you think this is an
Never
okay
stopped
idea?
twirling that bad.
What part of this?
He
in your mind
mutilated
of
it.
Meeting a 15-year-old, knowing she was 15, and you were talking to one of our other decoys that's 14. Why would you do that at 24?
This is where he starts to freeze up and he knows he's caught.
There's no excuse for it. You got kids? How old's your kids? 6. Daughter or son? Son, okay. Imagine somebody your age coming after your son when he's a teenager. You'd probably be pretty furious about that. And believe there's men out there that go after little boys. It happens every single day. That could happen to your son at any time, even at the age of 6. These guys are nuts out here. Again, I have the entire transcript. I know everything I was said. There's no need to lie. This should be your come to Jesus here, Robert. I mean,
You notice
luckily,
his
I'm not
left
the
hand
cops, 'cause
keeps
everything
fall,
you
or his
said,
right, or his
both
left hand
decoys,
keeps falling
one not
up.
so bad, the other one pretty bad,
My eyes were
would be
glued to
enough
that.
for
I
an
was
arrest.
waiting
And
to see if he was
ironically,
going to
they're
make
the
a
cop
move.
that shows up at the Starbucks the same exact time that I do, and you do. They're not going to do shit about it right now, but we have enough evidence where if we want to turn it into them, yeah, they have enough to come after you, just what you said to the other decoy. So, again, what were you thinking? You weren't thinking at all. Do you even have any clue how you're going to get back to Palatka? I mean, any clue at all? Because you took a taxi here.
What an idiot.
To sleep with a kid. I know you couldn't have been thinking because you have no way back home. And you waited until really late.
I mean, I do have a way back home, but...
Was that
His
your
way
ride
back
back
home
home?
just left.
No.
Yeah, it's out of town.
I just don't understand how you thought that would be okay, especially someone that you just met online. You know, if it's one thing, if it's a family friend and you're just trying to, it's one thing, it's a family friend and you're just trying to hang out.
At this point, he's so nervous he's asking permission to do everything, to move, to put his bag down.
With this girl.
At this point, he grabs a cigarette butt out of his pocket and just breaks it. He's
Correct.
so nervous.
It looked like his last cigarette.
I know you weren't thinking, and no 24-year-old in their right mind would be thinking that. I'm in my early 30s. No, that's fine. I'm in my early 30s, and I couldn't imagine when I was 24. I was trying to get with girls my age and older. I would have never fathomed trying to get with a 14-year-old or a 15-year-old. I have nieces.
nephews that age. Where did you sleep last night? Was that a gym? You walked around all night. All of this to meet up with a minor.
Wiping the sweat off his forehead.
You're going to sleep with a guy as well while you're out here, as well as this minor. Again, your sexuality isn't my business. I don't care. I support people that are gay and bi. How old is the guy that you're meeting up with? The guy was 15 as well that you're trying to meet. 50s. So you're trying to sleep with a guy in his 50s. I'm sorry. I'm just.
He asked me not to say it so loud.
You're trying to sleep with a guy that was in his 50s, and then a girl that's 15. Man, are you on any kind of medication? Have you maybe seek counseling for this? This isn't normal. You're the 24 and the 50. I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit about that. Both are over the age. What do you? But I'm still stuck on the whole 15-year-old thing, man. I'm stuck on the 15-year-old thing. I don't understand that. This
he
is
was
what
so
I
nervous he would have
recommend
stood
doing,
there
Robert.
all
I
day.
would recommend getting off of all that social media because it's obviously just getting you in trouble.
Somebody wrote in and said they feel sorry for him. I do too. He's wasting he's about to ruin his whole life over a 15-year-old.
Yeah.
And face it, there's
Meet me
enough
is for
poon in
meeting
Putnam
people,
County.
meeting
I mean,
people
he's
within
not
the
a
same
bad-looking
age range
kid.
as you. Meet me is not for meeting underage women.
I've seen
Trying to
uglier
meet
get
up with them
laid.
and taking their virginity.
Me. Valerie wrote,
And
I think he needs a light.
The app that he was on was Meet Me.
So this is what's going to happen here. All of this is exposed online. Everybody sees this. I'm telling you that now. We are in a public place. I'm absolutely legal to record this. All this is exposed online. It's going to be up to you what happens after this. You're young enough to try to save yourself. I met with a 49-year-old man the other day that saw no problem meeting up with a 15-year-old. I give you at least a little bit of credit that you see the problem. You do see the problem, right? Okay.
I don't think he's a UFC fighter, by the way.
But doing this isn't, because next time it might be an angry father of a 14 or 15-year-old, and you might not see the next day.
That's true.
So what I'm going to ask you to do is pick up your bag, head back the way that you came from, and figure out a ride home. And if we see you on the street talking to a child, there's going to be hell to pay, and then law enforcement will be involved. Okay? So I'm going to watch you as you walk out.
I hope this kid gets some help. I really do.
Don't do it in this location, man. They know what I do.
Right there, he asked if he can go into the store I'm at for a bag. Yep. I told him not to go in there because they know what I do.
That's fine, man. You don't have to apologize to me. I have to watch you walk away, though. I'm not police.
He asked right there, am I getting arrested?
Police
he
officer
is
sitting over there.
Scared.
I came over here
completely
less likely
crazy
chance of you getting in trouble. Okay?
Yeah, you know, every time from this point on.
Well, there you have it.
So here, I just go over what we just happened. I kind of reiterate what was said in the text. I reiterate what he was saying for those that joined the video late. And for those who are saying that they feel sorry for him, look, just because I'm doing this doesn't mean I'm not human. I have empathy. I care about people. To a point, I felt sorry for him as well. Not the fact that I'm exposing him to the world, because he did that to himself. He was talking to 2 of my underage decoys. Who knows how many other underage women he was actually talking to that were underage. That's not where I feel sorry for him. Where the empathy comes into play is I feel sorry how young he is, and he's already on a path of screwing his life up.
Yeah,
I say it in the video that I at least appreciated that he understood what he was doing wrong, and that he is young enough to straighten his stuff up and hopefully not do this and get in real legal trouble. So I do have empathy for some of these individuals that I approach. But it's not to the point where, I'm like, man, I wish I didn't expose them. No, not at all. Because again, you don't see the transcripts. You don't see
What?
the things that they say. Hey, can I get blunt here,
Yeah,
Travis?
go ahead.
They talk about taking the virginity of these little girls. They talk about how many fingers they use to masturbate. They talk about sodomy. They talk about using a condom or not. They talk about oral sex. They they get very, very vulgar in these transcripts. I'm not going after people that are like, hey, let's grab an ice cream and play some video games. No, it is vulgar. He sent photos of his private parts to the 14-year-old and the 15-year-old decoy. And then one of the decoys, the 15-year-old, was a little bit more vulgar than the 14-year-old.
What was the app he met him on?
What's that?
What was the app you said he met him on?
The app is called Meet Me.
Meet Me.
MEETME. It's an application that's kind of like Facebook, but it is more to meet people. You can post statuses and stuff like that, and post photos of yourself. But the majority of the community that uses it is younger adults, usually in the 18 to 30 range, trying to meet people and, to be blunt, to hook up. Basically, nobody's really on there to reconnect with family like Facebook or anything like that. You get people that are above that age range, of course, but that's mainly what that application is for. And that's where he was found. So yeah, the empathy part comes to his age and seeing that he is remorseful, and I hope that he doesn't do it again. But is it to the point where I wish I didn't expose him? Absolutely not. Because if you saw the transcripts that I see and the things that he's saying to these little girls, he needs to be exposed and hopefully taught a lesson.
Yeah. Now, the one thing that a lot of people might not understand here is that it's not just the fact that he's meeting up with a 14-year-old. This young guy, and I'm not going to bash him because it would be every other pervert or pedophile or sex offender out there, is that you have to stop and think. Okay, this young man says that he's there sleeping with a 50-year-old guy. Okay, so if he's sleeping with other guys that he's just meeting offline and he's sleeping with other people, what diseases does he carry? Not only HPV, but AIDS, syphilis, gonorrhea, stuff. Some of the stuff they can take care of. But some of these HPV, this young girl, had met up with a 14-year-old and had any of the diseases, HPV, if he had had 13, 14, 19, the kid would have gotten ovarian cancer at some point. If the kid had gotten AIDS or just any number of diseases. We don't know anything about this kid, but any of these other people, what if they're like, these people, John Walsh, somebody written in, and I'm not going to say her name, but she says, what happens if he commits suicide? And then she writes in, why not give him a business card for mental health counseling? He needs to be arrested. Isn't the picture enough to arrest him? Unfortunately, it's not. All the cops can do is watch him at this point. Hopefully Gator Deloach and him have him on his radar now. But this does allow, when you go out and do this, the cops might not see this kid. There's so many new apps that come out every day. They can't, and there's so few officers that, face it, we have a big meth problem and crack and everything else, no matter what county you're in. If you're in Baker or Marion or Putnam or Duval, any of these counties, there's so much crime, especially up in the area where you're at, Jacksonville. And even in Putnam County, there's murders and everything else that the investigators have to go after. This may seem insignificant for some, but to me, this is just as bad as murder. When you're taking advantage of a young person like that.
And if I can comment on that, Travis, I could easily give out those business cards, but to be fully honest with you, with the type of people that I work with, or that I'm meeting up with, they're not interested in getting mental help. They're more scared that they just got caught, and hopefully a kid like this, he won't. He's young enough where he won't do it again. It's easy to have empathy for somebody like this until it becomes your child. That you don't care about them getting mental help, going to seeing a counselor. You just care about them getting off the streets. I would love for them to get help from a counselor or something like that. But the odds are with these people that they're not after help. They don't care about help. They're just trying to get laid, and they're trying to talk to minors that they shouldn't be.
Well, somebody wrote in and said, that's just going to make them go into hiding more. Well, yeah, that's true, but it also gives an awareness out there that when people see not just him, but anybody else, when they see this kid or they see the 50-year-old man or anybody else, they're going to be, oh wait, I've seen this guy. Oh, and trust me, this kid and the other videos that I've watched that you have on your site, those people are embedded in my brain now. If I see one of those going around a little kid, I'm going to be out to whip their ass. I'm not going to lie,
And that's honestly, that's one of the minor ones that I've had. There's ones on there that's much more vulgar and much more older. He's just one of the younger ones that I've encountered. It gets much worse. And yeah, they may go into hiding. But as we spoke about before, the police aren't going to do anything until there's a victim anyways. If he's going into hiding, cool. That's one less child that he's going to be talking to online because he's hiding and he's scared to talk to a child. And speaking of that, who knows what he's done? Who knows who his neighbor is? His neighbor might be a 14 or 15-year-old child that he babysits, or he plays with them, or plays with their kids, or hangs out with their teenagers when the parents are at work. He hangs out with them when they're out of school. Now those neighbors will be like, "Whoa, this kid shouldn't be hanging out with our kids." That may not be the case, but you have that out there, and that's why we like at least getting the names and the faces out there. Look, yeah, I can't arrest them, but this dude's 24 years old trying to meet up with a 14-year-old, a 15-year-old, and a guy in his 50s to have unprotected sex.
Yep. Well, Tammy, you got any more questions? I know we got a ton of them. We could probably stay on the air all night.
Yeah, I think we've covered a lot of what people are probably thinking at this point. There's, like you said, there's probably still a million questions out there. I think what you're doing is wonderful. I think you should keep doing it, Wes. We really appreciate everything that you've done so far. Obviously, let us know if you come up with any more that are from our area.
Absolutely. And if I must say, and I don't mean to cut you off, Miss Tammy, I do
No,
want to say
that's
thank
fine.
you to yourself and Travis allowing me to get not only the organization out there to a um, uh, larger audience, but also the page, and knowing that there's people out here in your communities that's willing to do their part against crimes against children online, sexual predators. Not everybody's going to agree with what we do, and everybody has the right to the First Amendment. I know not everybody's going to agree to it, and I understand that, but I have good intentions. I say thank you to everybody that's out there that has supported us. Um, from Mike from Pennsylvania Predator Hunters again and his crew, all of my decoys, they see a lot of crazy stuff. My family as well. The girlfriend here who also does a pretty good job.
Wait, put it back on her. We've been having to
Yeah.
stare at your mug this
Yeah.
whole time. Put it back over there. How you doing, cutie?
and to be honest with you, she's not a supporter of this. To be fully on, and it's because of my safety. She's worried about me going out there and getting shot. She's worried
I
about
can
me going out
understand
there and
that.
getting stabbed. Absolutely, and I wouldn't expect a spouse to be too supportive of it. And it's something that I respect, and I make sure it's not something that hinders our relationship, and to make sure it's something that and she respects what I'm going out there and doing. She gives me tips as well. She's given me tips. Hey, she watches the videos. I would are you turning that one in? Absolutely. She's mentioned bulletproof vests and other protections as well. So,
Yes,
but thank you to everybody.
please consider that heavily.
Yeah, absolutely. And if I can say one message that I would have to anybody watching this, and I'll get a little closer for this. Parents, watch your kids. Um, you need to watch what they're viewing on social media. Watch the apps that are on their phones. You need to just keep a good eye on it. Kids are going to be kids. They're always going to find loopholes away at things, but the closer eye you can keep on it, the less of a chance of this happening. Um, I have, like I've said in the video before, I have a niece and nephew that are in their early teens, and I'm afraid for them because this kind of stuff happens all the time, and their parents do a wonderful job of monitoring everything they do on their devices and their social medias. They have access to everything. There's so many different applications, parental applications out there to make sure that you do.
Right.
Look into them. And I am from the cell phone world. I've worked in the cell phone industry for years. Anybody has any questions about that, parents, what apps can I use to monitor my kids' phones? Just message the page, NFPH. No problem sending over the apps per carrier, and they're free. That you can do so. So parents, monitor, monitor, monitor. Keep your kids safe. And just in case there are any predators watching, if I've offended anybody out there that possibly is talking to a 15-year-old, a 14-year-old, if you're on Meet Me, if you're on Plenty of Fish, if you're on Craigslist, if you're on Tagged, if you're on Whisper, and you're talking to a child, stop, stop, because you don't know what you're doing to them mentally. You don't know what you might be, the way that you're impacting their life. You might think it's okay because you're only 22. You might think it's okay because you're 45 and you've done this forever. Stop talking to these children. Once they turn 18, I don't care what you do, but stop talking to these kids and stop trying to meet up with them because you're going to meet up with me. So if I could give any kind of message with this, it would be that parents, monitor. If you're somebody watching this and you have a guilty conscience, you feel like you're doing this, stop. And anybody that wants to do this in your community, hit up our page, NFPH, North Florida Predator Hunters.
Okay,
I'll let you know what I did to get started, as well as shout out to Rowdy's Dipping Services, your local North Florida, Central Florida liquid wraps for vehicles. They 100%, I guess they fund everything that I do.
Okay. Put the phone over, or put your camera over there on your girl for a second.
Yeah, there she is.
I got something I want to say to you. Hey, kiddo.
She's shy.
I want to tell her something for a second.
Yeah, sure.
Hey, thank you for allowing him to do what he does. To you, I know it seems dangerous, and it is dangerous what he does. But to a person like myself that has 7 kids and 9 grandkids, what he's doing is making a world of difference by exposing these freaks and these pervs and stuff. And what he's doing, you never know how many lives he's already saved or how many lives he might save. But not just the lives, but the psychological stuff. And trust me, in 40-something years of doing this, I've met a lot of young boys and girls that have been raped. And they're now in their 50s and 60s, and they're still psychologically screwed up. And just by what he did on just this one kid the other day, even though it's a fictitious 14-year-old, how many 14-year-olds could he have actually gotten this to, or given diseases to, or crippled them mentally for the rest of their lives? The psychological is sometimes worse than the physical abuse. And even though these young kids are agreeing to it now, it might be a point to where, they know at some point it was going to be a bad decision. And that child that they think that's out there looking for love, they're not going to find it in these pervs. So thank you for allowing Wes to do what he's doing. I mean, you're a trooper, and you have just as much to do with it by allowing him. And trust me, I know who wears the pants in the family, So what you're doing and what you guys are doing is a good job, and I want to thank you so much. And I know there's a ton of listeners on here. Some of them are trying to reason it out. Some of them are going, well, only a few of them are pissed off about it. But I would say 99% of the comments, and there's thousands of them in there, that are thanking him and telling him and cheering him on for what he's doing. So I just wanted to tell you that.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. And I support him in what he's doing. I have concerns, of course, but at the same time, I know that he's doing good. So, I mean, I can't be any less proud.
Oh, yeah. I don't blame you.
And also, I know, like I said before, there's no way possible you're going to please everybody in this world, especially in 2019. There's no way of doing it. And I appreciate the negative and positive feedback. We get it on every exposure.
I have one more question.
1 or 2 people have a problem with it.
I have one more question for her.
Sure.
Was it the Alabama hat that attracted you to the man?
Unfortunately, no.
It was my singing abilities at karaoke, actually.
Yeah, it was his singing. Yeah.
Maybe we'll have him on the show one night, because that's what this is, a radio station. So maybe we'll get him on here.
I don't want that.
All right, well, Wes, unless you have any more questions, Tammy?
Nope, I'm good.
Yeah, I was just going to mention what somebody had written in, and as I've done some research on Pennsylvania predator hunters and everything. Adam Walsh, for these people that don't think this is important, John Walsh, who is one of, I guess, the ones who has originally started sponsoring all this and who had gotten these different groups started. If you don't think it's important, ask him about his son Adam, who was abducted in South Florida and decapitated, all by a sexual predator.
Yep.
That right there is one reason. And if you can save one person, and which I'm sure you already have, you may never know it. But my hat's off to you, brother. Anytime you want to come back on here, I'm sure we're going to have you back on again because things are going nuts. I don't need any more ratings. We have over 11 million listeners. So
yeah, that's no problem, man. And I'll keep in touch. I'm sure we'll have another big bust. I just had my first, like I said, I've only been doing this a month, and it's in the way that it's blown up is crazy. I just only done one bust in St. Augustine, and that was just yesterday. I'm sure that I'll have more busts in the Palatka area. I'm sure I'll travel to Palatka or Hastings for an exposure, and I'll be sure to let y'all know.
I'd like to get you down here in the studio.
Absolutely. I would love to be down there in the studio and have some fun with y'all.
I mean, we'll give you some chips. We'll give a shout out to Tostitos right here. Actually, I have Tostitos in here.
Key to my heart.
And I could hook you up with a Mountain Dew, brother.
Absolutely, man. Sounds good.
So, anyways, thank you so much for what you're doing, brother. And I'll be talking to you probably in the next day or two. And we'll give you the feedback of what's going on.
Thank you so much. And for those that didn't hear, it's NFPH, North Florida Predator Hunters. If you go to your search bar on Facebook, it's NFPH. Give it a like. Feel free to voice your opinion. And we have an inbox there. It gets answered by myself or my decoys.
Do you have a
questions, comments, concerns? Hit it up.
Do you have a GoFundMe account or anything where they can donate to?
We do have a donations for a PayPal account. That money, to be completely blunt with you, would go towards gas money as well as getting protection, such as a vest.
There you go.
Either a vest, pepper spray, stuff like that. To a little bit of protection. That little bit does go a long way because again, I don't make a dime off this. I use my own money. I fund my own gas, burner phones for the decoys. All of this comes out of our pockets. And we have no problem with that. We don't at all. But donations are always appreciated. The donation email, and I'll spell it out for you, is ICYWYTE38@yahoo.com. I've had it since I was 14. But it is ICYWYTE38@yahoo.com. Again, any donations always appreciated. It goes towards gas, and now you guys got me convinced on the bulletproof vest.
Thank you.
Before you know it, maybe I can be out there, have my own show like Dog the Bounty Hunter, and but instead going after predators. And rest in peace, Beth Chapman, who passed away today as well.
Yes, she did.
Yeah, I was just going to say that somebody said Dog the Bounty Hunter ripped Beth on it, but I had somebody write in, and she's one of she has a concealed weapons carry permit class that she does. I'm going to give you her information tomorrow. I'll give you a call.
Absolutely.
And they will do a concealed weapons permit class for you and no charge, and set you up with a stun gun and stuff. And pepper spray, because you have to be.
That's extremely appreciated. Donations like that are great as well. That is absolutely awesome. Yeah, if you can get me that person's information, I'd truly be grateful to do that. Thank you.
Somebody said you have some big gonads. Actually, they said balls. Make sure you get a bulletproof vest that covers those. Smart ass listeners.
It's always been the conversation is it more balls or brains? But here I just like to think that I'm trying to do something for the community that's constructive on my time off, other than getting fat and playing video games. And I think I'm doing something good for the community here.
Lori wrote in and say, I'm going to read a couple more of these because you've got a lot of people, thousands of them thanking you. I don't know if you can see the little emoji stuff that's going on and stuff, but Lori says, stay safe, Wes, and you're doing a great job. As a grandparent now, I still continue to watch everything just like I did when my kids were young. These groomers need to be stopped.
I agree.
Rosemary wrote, I follow some of the exposure groups. Thank you for your awareness. And there's just too many to read. If I didn't read them, guys and gals, I'm sorry. There's just, Courtney wrote, it went past it. Yes, thank you so much, Britt. We love you, and Wes, keep it up. Such a great job. And then on here, if you want to learn more, and check out their Facebook page below, and that is in the comments from the Putman Way. Parents who want to learn how to find it, if their kids are in danger, can message their page also, which is www.facebook.com, North Florida Predators Hunters, not Predators, North Florida Hunter, or North Florida Predator Hunters.
Just NFPH.
Yeah, or NFPH
is the best way.
But there's so many comments are coming in. Thank you so much for what you're doing, Wes. And thank your young lady there. And to all the listeners and stuff. I'm sorry?
I said thank you for having us.
Oh, you're welcome, man. And we'll be talking to you here in the next day or two, and we're going to try to get you set up with a concealed weapons permit. And just stay safe, brother. What you're doing, I take my hat off to you. You know, you're saving lives is what you're doing. And you're saving mental issues for the rest of these kids' lives. And so, man, I couldn't be, God, I'm just, I'm overwhelmed with it because I couldn't do what you're doing. I'd be killing people. That's no bullshit. I'd be beating them half to death, or they'd be beating me half to death. But I thank you so much. My hat goes off to you, and just thank you.
Hey, it's, I enjoy doing it. It was supposed to be something that I didn't think was going to turn out to be as big as it is, but it's become more than a hobby. It's become it's almost becoming a lifestyle being able to do this. So I'm more than happy to continue this, and I appreciate all the support, guys.
Yeah, and I'm going to get you back on here again. So we'll talk to you later. All right,
good, guys.
You guys have a good evening.
Have a good night.
Okay, be safe, man.
Take care.
Okay, Tammy, I think you're still there.
Yeah, I am.
Okay.
Just give me a
Oh, look how big your head is.
Oh.
I think we have to adjust your eyes out.
Oh, there I am.
Anyways, I appreciate what this kid is doing. I mean, as young as he is,
He's doing a phenomenal job.
I mean, giving up part of his life just to protect kids when he doesn't have any. I'm impressed with that. I know that you or I couldn't do it because I'd be killing people. And that's...
I don't think I could hold myself back the way he does. I was very impressed when I watched the video, and he was able to restrain himself. That was very impressive. I couldn't do it.
I couldn't either. I mean, and yeah, and some part of me feels sorry for the kid that he had on. And not just... It's not feeling sorry for him that he got busted. It's feeling sorry for the kid that here he is 24 years old, and he's about to wreck his whole life. And like I said in the video, he doesn't look like a bad-looking kid. I mean, face it, there's enough poon in the world for him to go get laid if that's what he wanted to. There's prostitutes. He had enough for a cab, but I'd rather see him go out and have sex with a prostitute than I would to see him wreck some 14-year-old kid's brain.
And
or give that kid a disease
to get there.
Yeah, and obviously he needs help, And
right.
If you're listening to us, what was his name?
Robert Lamb.
Robert Lamb.
Lamb.
If you're listening to us right now, or any other people that are out there trying to do the same thing, I'm not here to bash you, young man, but we are here. If you need help, I want you to contact me. Contact the Putman Way or contact the IITW radio, and I will pay for you a psychiatrist personally. We will pay for you to get help, or we will find you somebody that will get you help. We're not going to try to get you arrested or busted. That's not our intent here. But what you're doing is wrong. And for any other pedophiles or perverts out there that's listening, or sexual offenders, what you're doing is wrong. Get cut and dry. In a world of political correctness, I'm not that person. You have some mental issues. You do not need to take advantage of little children. That's messed up. So what you do need to do is get some help. Or go get chemically castrated, whatever it takes to get your brain to quit thinking that you have power over a little kid. Because what's going to happen is, Robert, you're lucky that you ran into Wes. Because had that had been me, or anybody else that he's busted that's watching this show, or anybody that's out there that's contacting 15-year-olds and stuff, if you contacted one of my kids and I showed up there, I can assure you it would not have turned out like it did and does in his videos. I'm not that nice of a person. And yes, I will go to prison to protect a kid. I'm, you know, people are going to go, oh, you're threatening them. No, I'm a psychic. I can see what I will do in the future. Should I ever run into that? God forbid I ever do. But if you were there to meet up with my daughter, and she was a little kid, or one of my granddaughters, or one of my nieces, it ain't going to turn out the way it did for you right then. I'll tell you that right now. Because at some point, one of us is going to the hospital and the other one's going to the frickin' morgue. It's not right what you're doing. And thank God you got guys out there like him with a temperament. I'm sure when he has a kid, his temperament's going to change, you know.
Yeah.
Anyways, what else you got to say, Tammy?
Well, it was good to be on the show tonight. I enjoyed it. Thank you very much.
All right, girl. Well, I will cut you off right now because we're going to end the show. I'm going to finish up the show, and then we're out of here.
All righty.
All right. Thanks for being on the air tonight, girl. Oh, and by the way, kick-ass job on the Putman Way and stuff lately. We're at 11.5 million.
Thank you.
300 and something million, 400 million comments. And for you people that are sending us in stuff in emails and we can't get back to you, is because we are swamped. I mean, there's no way with all the staff that we have, there's no way that we can answer 300 million likes or questions or anything else. So if we can't get to you, just keep sending them. I'm sure eventually we're going to get through all of them. We're trying to look for more staff, salespeople, people to go in and help us read emails and all kinds of crap. Unfortunately, we keep everything, or fortunately, we keep everything confidential. So anything that's written into us, we don't pass it along. So
no.
All right. Cool beans, Tammy. I'll talk to you here in short. All right.
Okay. Have a good night.
All right, you too. All right, guys and gals. I'm going to close this thing out tonight. It was a great show. And I want to thank Wes and his girlfriend or wife for what he does. You know, it's a sick world that we live in, and it's a shame that there's people that have to take advantage of little kids. And I'm serious. If you're doing it, you need to quit. We need more people like Wes that go out and expose stuff. And I know some of you aren't going to agree with this, but the cops can't be there. And normally they're there, and the state attorney's there after they've done something. If we can, the more people we can expose, yes, they might go into hiding, but if more people know who they are, the less they're going to do. And then maybe we can get them to move the hell out of the country. I want to thank all of you guys and gals for listening tonight. We love you. If you want to check out the show or have somebody else check it out, they can go on the Putman Way on Facebook, or they can go on IITW Radio on Facebook, or you can catch the shows on YouTube. Remember to hit the like buttons and support this guy. Go to North Florida Predator Hunters, or NFPH, and support this guy. And if anybody out there has a bulletproof vest, please donate it to Wes. Bulletproof vest for Wes. That's to be our new campaign slogan for him. Now, if you see a veteran, go out and thank a veteran for his service. If you see a cop or first responder, especially our volunteer firefighters, go out and thank them for their service. And I say it every night. Don't teach your kids to go up to law enforcement and be afraid of them. Don't tell them if you screw up again, young man or young lady, I'm going to have the cops arrest you. That only instills fear in their lives, and it's something that we have too much of. And parents, keep an eye on your kids. Learn your neighbors. Learn who's around you, and be aware of the environment that your children are in. One child every 10 minutes is abducted. The numbers are way too freaking high. I want to thank Wes again, and we will see you guys on Friday night when we're going to be doing an update on Fort Gates Ferry. You're not going to want to miss this. The ferry has been around for 239 years, and we have some great news for you guys and gals. We need you to donate. It's scrolling across your screen right now. You go to Fort Gates Ferry to donate and help restore the barge. All right, I think that's it. I'm out of here. I ain't got to go home, but I got to get the hell out of here. We'll see you Friday night. We love you, and thanks for watching. And this is, who do we have? Kurt Fortmeyer, Struggling With My Demons. Great song. Make sure you guys and gals watch the advertisers. Scroll across the page. Support your local businesses and support IITW Radio and their sponsors. Thank you very much. I'm out.
Till one day I said, screw it all, and I turned my life around. Yeah, I told my better angels they could go piss up a rope. they brought a sack of killer dope. I'm smoking packs of cigarettes and drinking quarts of beer, snuggling with my demons, and I kinda like it here. Now everything that's bad for me becomes my comfort food, and from time to time I take a pill to elevate my mood. I'm coveting my neighbor's ass and things that I can't have. I bathe myself in misery like it's medicated sad. Since I told my better angels they could go piss up a road, not come back unless they brought a sack of killer dope. I'm smoking packs of cigarettes and drinking quarts of beer, snuggling with my demons, and I kinda like it here. As long as I got gas to burn, I won't hit the brakes, 'cause I've still got a lot to learn from my own mistakes. I told my better angels they could go piss up a road, not come back unless they brought a sack of killer dope. I'm smoking packs of cigarettes and drinking quarts of beer, snuggling with my demons.